ECBO started as my college project, and we now sell our wheel flippers all around.
Heroic Dinobot attacks or slaughter turbines. Into vicious robot with spinning velociraptor. Evil waspinator full of energy just like never before. From insect to tech that puts the sting on Cheetor. But there's more to Cheetor than meets the eye. Under the skin lurks a robot within. With hidden weapons firing. Towering T-Rex transforms from prehistoric to robot. Voltansky knows how to apply. Triple transformer. From bug to slashing attack mode to bug ugly robot. It spins triple change to blasting battle mode.
Okay, good morning, I guess. Hey, Freddie J. I'm not sure what Firth is, but... Oh, first, I got you. I'm still waking up, I'm sorry. It's 7:41 on a Sunday. I'm getting there. So... Good morning. Good time zone, yeah, right? Yeah, I actually slept in a little bit, which is weird for me on a Sunday, but that's fine. So, I finished the armigers, I finished the big boys, and now I've got to figure out how to pack them so that they don't get absolutely destroyed by shipping. But, here are the boys. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they based pretty good. I think that, hopefully the bases will stay, they'll stay on the bases. My biggest concern was that they didn't fit quite exactly how I wanted them to on the bases, so the glue... I don't know how well it's actually sticking to the ground, but they are pinned. So I've got them pinned down, and hopefully the pinning will be enough to keep them on the base. I'm really worried about the shipping part because, you know, I don't really trust how UPS or USPS handles their minis or handles their packaging. So I'm going to try my best to make it so that they're basically idiot-proofed. And will not, you know, will not get in trouble or will not get banged around too much in shipping. But we're going to have to see how that goes. The best part about it, at least my favorite part, is check this out. Ha! Aha! The magnets work. Now what I did not do is test to make sure all the magnets are on the same side, and they are on that one. That makes me exceptionally happy. This poor guy with guns akimbo. Let's see, I also fixed this. These were frozen solid together because I used a wash that has PVA glue in it, and that's not where the magnet is. Yeah, get magnetized, nerd. Have you ever seen the Get Rotated Idiot meme by any chance, Kieran? Good morning, by the way. Sorry, I'm still waking up. But that's one of my favorite dumb memes. Get Rotated Idiot. It's yeah, okay. So do you know about the space sharks, the Carcharodons? The Raven Guard successor chapter. Well, Adeptus Ridiculous, who I think we know about. I think we've talked about before. They kind of replaced text to speech as the resident meme lords of 40K. They were talking about the Carcharodons because they're a well-liked, you know, successor chapter, and that was one of the first things that DK noticed about them was that they're not that tough. All you gotta do is spin them, right? Get rotated, idiot. And so someone made a meme of the baseline picture of the Carcharodon, you know, just the guy. I can brain, I promise. The basic Astartes where he's just holding the bolter, so it's like, this is what the guy looks like. And they just got him upside down instead of the shark. I know, that's a really esoteric joke, but I think it's funny. So, oh man, he gave me a really big piece of foam, or of packing, but he did not give me two small ones. So what I think I'm going to have to do actually is, I'm going to use this for the weapons. Actually, You know what I'm gonna do before I do all this? What I'm gonna do before I do all this? I'm gonna go ahead and throw these back on, and I'm gonna lacquer the crap out of them. That way, it's gonna be really hard for the paint to rub off. So I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna spray paint these here with this sealant. Where is it? This sealant. There we go. And that way, they have a thin layer of sealant on them, which will hopefully protect them better than just my paint job. Apologies to my wife because she hates the smell, but price of success, I guess. Price of I don't want to go outside because it's cold. Okay, and actually, let's get the base a little better. And I think one last thing I need to do is I think I should I paint the bases black, like the base rims, because when he gave it to me, he hadn't done anything like that. They were just kind of painted the same muddy brown as the rest of it. But I'll be honest with you, I like the bases black. But if that doesn't fit his idea for the army, I kind of don't want to mess with it. Okay, this thing is dead. That's a dead dog. Goodbye. Okay, these guys have now been sprayed down with a lacquer coat. And so, one last thing. Hit them with a hairdryer. Let the lacquer coat kind of off on them. And actually, let me see if I can finally get rotated. Because I like that meme way too much. I think I still got it somewhere. It would behoove me to start saving these things with actual names instead of just whatever Reddit decided to call them that day. But that's going to be my problem. By any chance do I have it? Oh, it doesn't seem to want to play. Come on, come on. Oh, I've got way too many pictures saved on Reddit. I'm not going to waste time on that. What I am? No problem. I'm glad that that your cat is having a good time and that you are too. Okay, so now these things have been lacquered. So I'm going to go ahead, put you off to the side, rip off your arms, throw this over here, this right here, and they keep sticking together and it makes me happy. Yeah, my cat, I think I've mentioned it before, my cat was a rescue, and she had this thing where she was really loving, but she also would reach critical mass, which is normal for cats, right? And then she would just suddenly decide that's enough and then claw the shit out of you. And when I got her, I adopted her because my girlfriend at the time really wanted to have a cat since she was living with me. And she kind of fell in love with that cat, so we adopted her. And unfortunately, the cat wasn't how she expected it to be behaviorally. Like, she thought the cat was just going to be super chill and loving, like the cat that she had at her parents' house when she was still living with them. Because, you know, the economy. And no, this cat turned out to be a lot more feisty. So, unfortunately, she didn't have the emotional intelligence to really take care of the cat. And she ended up just kind of not liking it and being really mean to it. And that gave this cat even more PTSD. Yeah, I know, right? And so, you know what I can do? I've got painter's tape. So I'm gonna actually, like, tie this together and hopefully protect it better. But, anyway, that relationship didn't last for various reasons. And, I didn't want to rehome the cat. You know what I mean? I don't want to... No! I didn't want to rehome the cat because it had already been a rescue. It had already been rehomed once because we were not the first owners. And it's like, I don't want to do that to the cat again. That's awful. And so I kept the cat. And one moment. I can do this. And so like, I did not want this cat, by the way. I was perfectly happy with my dog. He's a fat bulldog. I love him. But I kept the cat. And I decided I wasn't going to keep being mean to the cat because the cat didn't deserve that. So, because I wasn't much better, I'll be completely honest. I did not have the emotional intelligence to handle a titchy cat. But I decided that every time she would overload and bite the crap out of me, I was just going to pause and let her do it, and then show her I wasn't a threat. And eventually, she realized A, I wasn't going to scream and yell at her or scare her, and B, she really liked being petted. So she became incredibly loving and affectionate, and would have moments of short-circuiting, and then go back to being loving and affectionate. And that was a couple years ago, and now she won't leave me alone. She is incredibly affectionate. She loves my wife a lot, which is awesome, and has basically chosen her. Like, you're my mom. And yeah, it's also helped me a lot with my job, because it's taught me a lot more about patience, and how, you know, patience will eventually pay off in good ways, with trust and positive vibes. But now she won't leave me alone. Whenever I go to bed, her immediate thing is to run up onto the bed and then sit on my chest and stare at me, or show me her butt, which is a trust thing for cats, right? But the other part of it is that after I get out of the shower, she constantly meows at the door, and I'm not sure why, but as soon as I open the door, she runs in and then just starts, it's imprinting, right? When the cat starts rubbing its face all over you, she just starts imprinting on my feet, and will not leave me alone until she knows the signal of I'm done, which is me turning on the sink to rinse out my toothbrush. And then she just follows me around until I feed her. And once she gets that, she doesn't need anything. She doesn't want anything to do with me. Which in itself is also very funny. It's like, okay, I gave you the love and affection you needed. I got the food I needed. I'm outie. Peace. There is the box. There is the box. This is not how this is going. I'm not putting a somewhat padded thing inside a box and then saying good luck. I'm going to... you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be extra, and I'm going to take this thing up like I have no clue what I'm doing. So that way it stops like trying to peel off itself. And I'm glad that Percy is similar, because everyone deserves a loving cat. I used to joke that I hated cats because, you know, dogs love you for who you are, cats love you for what you can do for them. And first of all, I found out that's a freaking lie. I should never say that. And second of all, I found out that cats are extremely loyal and loving and whatnot to their owners if they have that trust. They just need to make sure that you're on the level before they start being friendly to you. But yeah, this is not how this is being shipped. For anyone who is interested in getting commissions from me, this is not how I would ship your stuff back to you. And I'm not doing it for this client either. Let's go ultra wide. So yeah, this was sent to me kind of like this, but obviously in bits. And I was a little bit appalled because of how much the stuff could move around. And you know, they're plastic minis that are held together with glue. And with how USPS and UPS treats its packaging, I didn't feel too kosherized putting their stuff in like this, right? Because especially, it's my housemate who's actually Percy's owner, but we all look after him. And whenever the housemate goes for a shower, Percy sometimes stands sentry at the shower and just meow, because it's him. It like, you're being washed away, no! That is really funny. I found out that Trixie, my cat, she also comes to the back door when I take my bulldog Angus out to use the bathroom, and she stays there meowing until we come back. And then she imprints on Angus and then follows him until she knows he's inside and then runs off. But yeah, I would not pack like this. I feel like there's way too much of an ability of, you know, these minis and these models being broken in transit. I have packing paper upstairs, and I'm going to pack this thing tight to the point... I always do a shake test, and it's probably a little extra, but I'll shake it like the professor from Tolarian Community College shakes his deck boxes to make sure that they stay sealed. She protect him, yes! She loves her big brother. And I think my favorite thing about it is that since Angus is a 60-pound Old English Bulldog, and she is a 7-pound runt, when I first got her, I was really scared of Angus, like, immediately just eating her. So, as soon as he started, you know, getting any kind of aggressive when she was first a kitten, I would chastise him, and I tried to put that kind of negative reinforcement, I guess you'd call it, so that he would leave her alone. But unfortunately, it's made him a giant pushover, And so it was at a point for a little while where she would go up and try and play fight him and like wrap her claws around him and bite him. And instead of fighting him, he would shy away and look at me with these sad, pitiful eyes like, "Dad, please, help. This tiny baby is very strong with its sharp teeth." Though, now that he's older and she's older and he has a little more trust with it, I tell him to just fight her back. He knows how to not hurt her, which is really cute. So they'll play a little bit. But one of my favorite things, actually, you know what? I'm gonna dox myself a little bit. I'm gonna find a picture of these so you guys can see my cat and my dog, and then I promise I will get to doing things. Let's see, where cat and dog? Where cat and dog? I have a picture of both of them. Yes, I do. But so, one moment. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do an image slideshow because I have a bunch of good pictures of cat and dog. That camera. No, I want the good ones. Yeah, so their dog, their cat and dog, their dog again. I actually don't have as many pictures of my cat because I think I love how stupid my dog is. And then my two favorite pictures of cat and dog. So no, I think it goes this way. I'll find out in a second. Okay, so these pictures are going to be big because they're cell phone pictures, so I'm going to make them smaller. But, wait, there we go. Pause. There's cat and dog. And you can see, she very tiny. She's very tiny. His head is almost the size of her torso. But that's my bulldog Angus, and that is my cat Trixie. I think she's just a black short hair. She has constant resting Angie face, which I find hilarious. When she looks right at you, she doesn't look upset. But if you see her from any angle where you're looking down at her, she always looks like she's plotting, how to take over the house. But there they are. There's my dog. I love him. He's very sad looking, but he's a better breed of bulldog in that they bred his line to have a longer snout and to have wider hips, so he has less hip and eye and breathing issues. There he is again. He's adorable, and I love him. My favorite thing about him is that he likes to make forts. We have a bunch of throw pillows on the sofa, and whenever he can, he'll make like a nest out of them and just lay with them, with himself buried in them. And it's really funny. I think it's hilarious. But this is a picture of them, and I was really happy because they used to not do this, but she's become so attached to him that she will cuddle with him when she can, especially when we're all on the bed about ready to go to bed. But I got perfect timing with this photo, and it makes me happy because the follow-up photo is what makes it. Give me a second. I'm adding water to my wet palette. The follow-up photo to this one is what makes it because she's looking like that, and then she heard me move around, and so I really appreciate that some breeders are making a conscious decision to breed out the problems some dogs and cats have. I know, right? I just saw a thing about French bulldogs, how like the AKC purebred French bulldog, it looks like its face was crushed back into its skull because of the snout. And apparently, there is a breeding line that is doing also purebred French bulldogs, but they're breeding the snout longer, they're breeding it a little bigger, all those kind of things. And so when I had a chance to get a dog, I found out that one of my mother's co-workers had an old British bulldog, spelled the funny way, and they started making that decision in the late 70s when they realized that if they kept going at the rate they were going, the bulldog line was just going to be completely unviable and die off. So they made a conscious decision to crossbreed it with like pit bulls and American bulldogs and a bunch of other dogs. But yeah. So I'm really happy Angus is of that stock. But yeah, so this is that was the follow-up picture between the two, from like sleeping and everything fine to what are you doing? So yes, I love my dog and my cat. They're my friends. I know, right? Father. It's so very funny. But yeah, they're very good pets. And I love them both. I think my favorite moment between them is that Angus will wallow sometimes. He'll have like a head itch, so he'll get down on his back and just start, squirming around to try and hit that head itch. And Trixie doesn't understand what he's doing or doesn't care. I'm not sure which yet. But she but one moment. Boom, cat. There she is, not looking quite as angry. Cute cat, hiding under a chair. But she didn't know what he was doing, so she started like gearing up because she was going to attack him. And at one moment, he finally goes still as he's like half done wallowing, and she jumps on him, just absolutely pounces on his chest, and is just trying to play with him. But at the same time, Angus is unsure of what she's doing, so he panics and rolls over. And as he's rolling over, he catches her like under the arms, the front paws, with his front paw and throws her. And so I'm putting my shoes on as I'm getting ready in the morning, and I just hear a quiet, and then a pounce, and then a thud, because he threw her back into my shoe rack, which she then just kind of comes out of like, what the heck was that? And then we move on. So what I'm going to do today, at least for about a half hour, because I have to go to church, is I'm going to try and finish this guy up. I've been working on him just kind of on and off. He was my first Primaris chaplain that came out of the Indomitus box, and I really like how he's turning out so far. I think I'm getting better at like shading and highlights, but he's not where I want him yet. He's getting close. I want to fix some of his non-metallic metals because they're a little splotchy, and I don't think I got the light as well as I could have. So I'm going to work on that. But I am really happy that I stripped him and have started repainting him, because the repaint job looks so much better than the original one, which, like I talked about last time, was still pretty darn good. So I don't feel any kind of, upsetty about that. What I am going to do, though, what I do need to do, though, orange, that's what I need. Yeah. Your cat was quite young. It's because she's really tiny. When I got her, she was like 10 months old, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So she is 3 or 4 years old, I think. I kind of lost track of the age because after the pandemic, what is time? But she's still kind of in that kitten phase, but she's not quite kitten. She's a little older than that. And yeah. So that's how that's been. I think she's 4. But yeah, and then aw, that's adorable. I love pets. Pets are good. People should have pets if they have the means to take care of them. I will say, I'm getting increasingly sad and worried about my bulldog Angus, because there's nothing wrong with him. I'm not going to start with that, but he's about 9 years old, and bulldogs live to be about 10 to 12 years old. So I don't really want to think about that, because he's my first like personal dog, and so I really love him, and I want him to live forever, which that's not going to happen. But I really don't want to think about what his end of life care is going to have to look like, because that's just heartbreaking. The good news is he's in incredibly good health, and especially for a British Bulldog. So my hope is that I can extend his general comfort of life for as long as humanly possible before he starts having that decline. Okay, so first things first. I did not hit... There's nowhere near enough shine on the shoulder. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of repaint over the shoulder and get the highlights where I need it and get the lowlights where I need it. Because part of the thing about non-metallic metal, which you're probably well aware of, is that for it to sell, you've really got to hit the light. And I'm learning. Something that's been recommended to me multiple times is to look up references of metal. And I've done that, and I understand how metal shines because I worked with it for many years while working for my father. But I'm still not very good at it. And the other thing, which has probably been the more beneficial of learning how to do light on minis, is to think of every part of the mini as like a basic shape. So, and you're probably well aware of this, especially if you've done any kind of art. But, most of the world can be broken down into basic shapes, which are like cones, spheres, cylinders, and boxes, right? And so when you're looking at how light would hit those things, that's what you want to think of when you're trying to make light appear on a mini. So in his case, this thing is mostly spheroid or conical, whichever you want to say. And so the light is probably going to hit this part the most, and it's going to darken as it goes away from it. So my next job is to figure out how to portray that realistically. And I'm really bad at it. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to go to the darkest on the edges. And hopefully not overpaint it. And then I'm going to go to the lightest in the middle. And this is where I start getting... Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to work my way up because I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah. So now that I've got that darkest bit, I'm going to go ahead and blend up into a lighter color on both ends. And hope that the blend is going to be strong enough to get rid of that very sharp border I've created. And this is where having the good paints come in. Citadel, Vallejo, not Army Painter. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. And so hopefully, between the thinness of the paint that I'm using, there we go, that's going to be a good blend. You can barely see it now. And this one, not quite as nice, but it'll work fine. Into an orangey red. Actually, I'm going to let that dry. That's one of my biggest problems for anyone who's watching, and it's also a tip to take home. Be patient with your painting. One of my biggest issues, and one of the ones I have the most problems with, is I get really impatient, and I really want to paint things quickly. So I end up going over wet paint, which just pushes around wet paint, and that's incredibly counterproductive because you're ruining the work you've done already, right? So it is definitely in your best interest to take a second and let the paint kind of do what it needs to do before you move on to the next layer of your paint job. And I think to some extent, and this is entirely self-inflicted, a big reason why I struggle with letting the paint kind of rest is that I watch all these videos on the YouTubes of these professional painters who are like, okay, then you do this, and then after you do this, you do that. And especially on like TikTok and the Instagram, it's a speed paint. So they're going through it very rapidly, and they're obviously not showing the full process. They'll show the viewer that they've gotten started and this is what it looks like, and it's sped up. And so that's kind of what I'm watching, and since that's what I'm watching, that's what I'm mimicking. And in general, that's very counterproductive because they're clearly not moving that quickly, and to think that you can mimic their technique by moving at whatever speed that they've multiplied their video by is ludicrous. You still got to wait for paint times. You got to take into account that you don't want to destroy your brush by abusing it. There's a lot of little things that go into those videos that I always forget about. So, I mean, this is all obvious stuff. It's like, of course it's sped up, and of course you're not going to do it that way. They didn't do it that way. But my enthusiastic little pea brain doesn't see that. It just sees fast paint, good results. Gotta mimic. So I'm trying to be better about that, and hopefully, as I continue on my painting journey, I'll be able to better replicate what they're doing with patience and persistence. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way back, almost to the last layer, and hit it with an orange brown. And hopefully, same kind of thing. I'm giving it enough time to dry. I've actually never done it this way. Usually I'm a lot more fast and insistent with my paint, so we're going to see how this looks. And actually, I should probably do this again for the rest of it, because I'm not liking how the rest of the shine appeared on shadow, or on the shoulders. Same kind of deal, though. You got kind of a cone-looking shape, which means that it's going to be darkest at the edges and lightest where the light is going to hit it. And so, some of this did look pretty good, but I'm getting rid of it so I can start over entirely. On that end, it kind of looks okay, so I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, looks like that's dried, so I'm going to get some more orange, and I'm going to mix it in with my gold yellow. And that will allow me to make a transition color between my golden, or my yellow, and my orange brown, hopefully. It's the same thing. Gonna mix it together, gonna get most of that off there. Gonna go back as far as I can, and you can see mine is very watered down. It's almost watered down to Army Painter consistency. Maybe Army Painter would have been good here, especially because I'm gonna be doing multiple layers of this blending. Sometimes Percy has no sense of space because didn't so much as move when I was trying to get past him in the kitchen. I end up accidentally bonking him on the face with my elbow. Either that or he trusted you, and his trust was misplaced, which my cat does a lot. She'll just lay there, wait, staring at me like, okay, you can move around me. It's going to be fine. I trust that you won't kick me. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to move around you. And I raise my leg up because I'm going to move around her and take a bigger step. And then suddenly Trixie's like, oh, crap, he's moving. And then she'll get up and dart underneath my foot. And that's the only time I really yell at her, because it's like, Trixie, you're going to get kicked. Please don't do that. And all she hears is me yelling at her, so I kind of calm down and then have her come back and pet her, because she trusts me enough to do that, which is really neat. But unfortunately, my wife doesn't have the same care when she walks through the house. And it's not because she's like a bull in a china closet or anything. She just moves with a lot more purpose than I do. So the cat's gotten kicked quite a bit by her. And I find it hilarious because obviously the cat can't understand what I'm saying, but all I can think of is, I told you about those stairs, bro. And she always looks a little scandalized, but she always comes back, which is fine. So, okay, going into the yellow now, and again, I'm just going to kind of overpaint to try and get to the edge. I want the yellow. I did not overpaint enough on this. I want the yellow to take up as much of this as possible, because this is such a big surface that I feel like the light's going to hit a grand majority of the surface area of this pauldron. Yeah, it makes me sad. Angus is kind of the same way. He always wants to be around the action. And so I've had moments where he's just kind of sitting behind me, just watching what I'm doing, and I won't notice him, and then I'll step on him. And Angus is a really quiet dog. The loudest thing about him is because he's a bulldog, he snorts and snuffles. And because I'm really bad about clipping his nails, you'll hear him clacking around. But then you'll accidentally step on him, and he'll let out the most heart-wrenching yelp, and then try and lower his head and get out of your way because he thinks he's caused problems. And I just always feel bad. So I immediately call him over and give him lots of love. One of my favorite things, favorite and least favorite things, though, is that he very rarely gets sick. Or he very rarely has like bathroom issues because he's well trained about the bathroom. But every now and then, he'll just have a bad day and he'll either vomit or he'll, poop in the house or whatever because he's a dog. But usually he tries his best to let one of us know. So he'll walk up to us and stare at us and then like walk away and then come back, and he'll keep doing that until we recognize, oh, you've got to go to the bathroom. And so we'll take him out. But sometimes that doesn't work because our minds aren't where they need to be or whatever. So he'll just find a space where he kind of understands that it's easy to clean up, and he'll do his business there. And then when we find it, he gets really, really submissive. And it looks like he's really ashamed of himself and he doesn't want to get in trouble. But it's like, it's not your fault, buddy. You tried to warn us and we just weren't paying attention. So I've tried to train him to not be as like scared and submissive when he has an accident in the house. And I just hope when we get more pups, because we're definitely going to own more pets, or adopt more pets. I don't want to say it like that. We're definitely going to try and adopt more pets. And when we do, we want them to have that same kind of less stressful understanding about the bathroom and about messes in the house. They don't know any better. They're trying their best. Okay. On to the actual yellow, which is clearly not going to be bright enough because I specifically chose this yellow because of its matchingness to the rest of everything. Unfortunately, that's another problem I have with this, is I'm not very good at choosing the appropriate yellow. I've been using the Vallejo, almost equivalent to the Imperial Fist colors. It doesn't quite have as much orange in it, but for what I use it for, it works, which is kind of touch-ups and highlights. Avril and Sunset. I need to find an actual color match for Avril and Sunset, and I just have not yet. But, actually, I have a couch that my cats will not stop pissing on, so now it's got it covered in tarp until I can arrange to throw it out because I'm tired of washing the covers. Understandable. You probably have tried everything, so I'm not going to be like, have you tried this? Because I guarantee you the answer is going to be yes. But,
I wonder if did you how did lime juice work out? Like spraying it with lemon spray or whatever. Also, good morning. At least for me, it's morning. Good day. Good afternoon. Good time zone. That's a good way of putting it. That's what Kieran said earlier. How did that work out for you? Did you try using the lime spray, and what kind of success or failure did you have? I haven't tried that specifically. I've tried a few other things. I mean, it's one of the things that doesn't agitate me, but I can definitely understand the agitation, where you've reached a logical conclusion of like what you're doing with something because you've tried everything else, and everyone's like, hey, have you tried this? And I understand you're just trying to be helpful because, you know, you don't want friends to be suffering and you don't want them to waste their money or time, but it's like, no, I have never tried this. In all of the research I have done, in all of the frustration this has caused, I have never once thought about doing this immediate thing you always do first. But I think limes, kiwi, something. I know that there's one of those citrusy smells that animals just hate. And so if you spray the spot that they're marking with that, they'll smell it before they spray and they'll be like, ah, crap, what is that? And then they'll leave it alone. But I have no idea how successful that'll be with something that they've become very accustomed to marking. So honestly, if I were you, I'd probably just throw the fucking thing away. You know, you've obviously committed a whole lot of mental spoons to it, and so trying a last ditch effort thing just feels kind of silly, unless you really, really want to salvage that couch. 4 litter boxes I clean daily, so it's not that at least. Yeah, fair enough. My cat Trixie, she's a weird one. I love her, but she is so freaking weird. First of all, she's very like adjustable, or like what am I looking for? Flexible with litter boxes, which I think is a blessing. We had an old open face litter box in the old house that I lived at, and it was in like the game room where no one really went, and so it was fine, and she used it and whatever, okay. And then we got a better litter box because we got tired of cleaning up the cat litter that she would kick out, and so it was one of those top loader litter boxes where it had like one of these lids, that hinged lids, that's it, and it had a hole in it so she could jump down, and she immediately fell in love with that thing. And my favorite thing is that we usually stack the litter so high that her head pokes out of the hole like a turret, and so just kind of, you'll see her eyes poking out over it, and you'll just kind of see her stare at you while she's pooping or something, and it's both funny and a little bit awkward. But I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, she does watch. She watches. She poops. Yeah, there it is. But we got her a second one because we have 2 floors to the house now, and the general rule of thumb is like 1 per floor, right? And so we're like, okay, she's probably gonna want another one. And then she never used the other one. She just kind of continued to use the primary one that's in the main entrance to the house. And so I suppose she just doesn't need a second one, which I get. She's really tiny. She doesn't have that much poop in her. But it was just kind of like, okay, well, that was $60 we don't need. But thankfully, my wife came up with a really good solution. She just cycles them out every season, so that way it's a fresh litter box that she can, she washes the other one out and leaves it out to dry, and then we put it in the basement that we now have, and she just puts out the other litter box for Trixie to use. And that kind of extends the life of both of them, hopefully. I am the watcher. I watch while I poop. And once again, this stream has just gotten weirder and weirder by the second. Yeah, no, my wife's a smart cookie. I love my wife. She makes cool D&D stuff, and she's smart as hell. So, I love her to death. That, and she's got the same kind of goblin energy I have, so that works out real nicely. You guys clearly don't see it because I'm usually so tired and mellow when I get on stream. But I've got some pretty strong goblin energy. I started buying those disposable litter boxes that are like press cardboard, and they really liked them for a little bit. Understandable. Actually, maybe the top litter ones, maybe, I don't know if those would work for you, but PetSmart.
And I know you're in another country, so you're probably not going to find the same one. But let me show you what I'm talking about, because these litter boxes are a revelation. She still makes a bit of a mess because it's a cat. What are you going to do? But the litter box itself is fantastic, and I'm really happy with it. That's not the one I'm looking at, actually. Though that is a very similar one. That's really neat. Where's the one that I have? Did I get it from PetSmart? Join me on my painting stream while I look up poop boxes for cats. Maybe I got it from Petco. Okay, litter box. Litter box, litter box. Oh, let's find a litter box. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's unfortunate they only use it sometimes. Like I said, we used to have a corner one that was really big, and I hated cleaning it out because she'd pee on the wall. And that was really frustrating because it would get into the seam between the wall, or the top and bottom of the lid, and then it would leak out, and it would smell like cat pee. But because she's tiny, and because she, what's the phrase? And because she's well adjusted enough, she now just goes in this one, and she'll pee on the wall in this one, and it's like, cool, whatever, you peed on the wall. I'll just hit it with some kitty litter sand, and that'll kind of scrape off the smell and everything. But yeah, I forgot how expensive they are. There's apparently another kind at PetSmart that is just like a lid that pops on and pops off, but I think I'm really happy with it. We're also pretty good about cleaning out the litter box. I don't know how much good or bad that has to do with anything. Probably not a lot, because I guarantee you're probably really good about cleaning out your litter box too. But I've been exceedingly happy with it because of just the ease of cleanup. So I'll recommend it to anyone who's been having problems. I got a Soft Servo has a cat, and that poor thing, she's got a bad leg, and he doesn't have the money to get the surgery to help her operate on it. She's also really old, so she just kind of poops everywhere. She does use a bigger litter box that I got him, but or that I gave to him. I didn't buy it for him. It was a hand-me-down, but she definitely struggles, and so poor thing. That's all I can think of over and over again is poor thing, because she's a friendly cat too. She's a lovely cat. She's also the biggest pet in the house. They have a miniature pinscher and a chihuahua, and it's really funny knowing that the cat is the biggest animal in the house. That she like towers over both of them. And the poor Min Pin is a lovely dog. It's dumb as hell. We only have the one, and we clean it every week, but our first litter when it gets too broken down or stanky. Yeah, same thing. Typically, with Trixie, maybe I am cleaning out too much, but typically with Trixie, we clean it out every other day or every 3 days. And she manages to make a lot of poop, I guess. But she also, by the time it needs to be cleaned out or whatever, like cleaned out and replaced, she's lowered the litter enough that we just kind of cycle more in and then mix it together. But yeah, I've talked a lot about cats on this stream about painting, and I'm only sorry a little bit, but I love pets, and I hope you guys do too. What I do not love is the ugly phases of non-metallic metals, because I'm really anxious about doing a good job, and the ugly phase is it's not looking like a good job phase. And so once again, talking to my wonderful art major wife with her degree in art, and she keeps telling me, you gotta let the ugly phase happen. You gotta let it be ugly so that you can reach the beautiful phase. And so I'm trusting her, because she knows what she's doing. Clearly, she's degreed in it, but it's really hard to not want to change everything when it's in the ugly phase. So I'm working on it. And actually, once I finish doing this last little bit, I'm going to do the thing I've now done 2 streams in a row, and I'm going to advertise my wife. One moment. Let's see. Art by QB. No, not search. Yes, I did mean that, Art by QB. I don't want a sug mark. I want to. There we go. So if you like D&D art and other cool stuff, you should go to Art by QB and look at her stuff. I think, unfortunately, since you guys are out of country, the shipping costs are probably killer. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to give her a platform. She's got these cute Valentine's Day stickers / postcards that I really wish were selling better because they're adorable. And I think people would really appreciate getting D&D themed Valentines just for funsies. Okay, let's go ahead and paint it over with the golden brown again. Reminds me of a thing. How good are you at making at making models 3D printable? That's a side of the hobby that I am nowhere near comfortable with. I can 3D print STLs. If there's an STL pre-made, then I can get you a really good 3D print of it. That's what I've been doing for Mr. Red. But in terms of making the models, you are asking the wrong person. I am a step above understanding that Blender does not refer to a kitchen appliance. That's the best answer I can give you. And if that answer is not real, if I send you a Blender file that I'd want painted and shipped to someone in the US, I think I could probably look up how to do that. I don't think there's a whole lot of complication to that. I've received Blender files as part of like an STL package, where it's like, here's a prime beef chunky boys builder, which is essentially like all of the Primaris Marine bits and bobs in a single file for someone to pose or do whatever they want with to make their own Primaris pose things. And it came with a Blender file, and I haven't looked into it, but I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to convert it. Actually, let me look this up. This is a good converting Blender to STL. Either save your existing work as a blend file or load this example. Select the object to export. Yes, just file export STL. So if you pose and whatnot, the thing in Blender, you can export it as an STL apparently. And actually, you guys are about to see, it depends on the file. I think you need a slice. Oh, I can do that. What it is that there's a slicer software called like Chi2Box or Liche, and those are the two popular ones. And you import the STL file, and then you slice it, and then it exports as another file. And actually, I'm going to show you guys an example because it's neat and learning is cool. Give me a second. Okay, we're open up. Yeah, there's Chi2Box. Okay. Window capture. We're gonna capture Chi2Box. That's not Chi2Box. That's a blank screen. That's not Chi2Box. That's this window. Are you really not gonna let me do this? That's not Chi2Box. That's that screen. That's not Chi2Box. Chi2Box is open right there. Chi2Box is showing us nothing. Uh-oh, maybe it won't let me do this. But yeah, you typically have an app called Chi2Box or Liche, and then you open it in there. You open the STL file in there, and then you give it supports, and you do what you need to do to make sure it doesn't screw up during the print, and then you export it as a sliced file. And that's easy. That's part of the process everyone has to go through when they're printing anything. So if you sent me an STL, I can print it. Like, that's what I've been doing. That's what I do for pretty much anyone who needs it. And that would be super duper simple. Like, I'm in the middle of doing that right now. I think I showed you that. Whoops, I don't want to do that to my brush. This was that. This was an STL file of the horse, and oh, was that really supposed to? Oh, well, I need to reprint this, I think, because part of it failed. But this was supported, so it had like little sticks holding it up to make sure that when it printed it didn't fall apart. And actually, it looks like part of it started peeling there too. I might have to reprint this entire dude, which is fine, but really disappointing. But yeah, it's not that difficult. You just need to, like I said, you yourself just need to export the file, the Blender file as an STL, and then email me the STL or whatever.
And I think if you're part of, actually, you don't need to do it via Discord. That seems a little, that seems like a good way to get that stuff stolen. I can send you my email, which is benrypaints@gmail.com. Okay, this stuff is too watery. And on my Instagram, I have my paint rates and samples of what my painting looks like at those rates. So you can check that out too if you really want to. And then we can work something out. Okay, I'm having to redo this entire thing because I realized I fudged it up pretty badly. And I'm also making that same mistake where I'm painting over wet paint, so I'm getting this kind of ugly wet blend instead of what I really want, but it's going to be fine. Let's see, we're going to add some of that back in. I'm going to do that. You guys are getting to see me screw up in real time. That can all go. I'm also so I can't ship it. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so that shouldn't be a problem. And the beautiful thing is that the complexity of the model isn't super important other than the file size, which I'm not worried about because I've got, you know, a half a terabyte of space to play with. But, yeah, I would not be overly concerned about the complexity of the model. The supports will do what they need to do. If I need to adjust the printer settings a little bit so that it prints a little more smoothly, then fine, whatever. But once it's been sliced and exported, it's really just a matter of how good a job I did with the printer settings. And like I said, it's not that big a problem. So I can definitely, I would love to help you with this. Well, yeah, real-time screw-ups. Heck yeah. No one's perfect. We're doing our best. Right? Ah, man, it's almost time for me to go. So yeah, Tobacco, if you want to, I think, are you part of the Discord? Because if not, you can join the Discord, and we can PM about this instead of you having to wait to catch me on stream again. Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, you should create a Discord, and my first thought is like, why though? People don't pay attention. I'm so small time. Who would pay attention? But they kept asking, so I made one. And shabooms. And every now and then someone will post their makes and their prints, or their paints, I mean, and they look really cool. So it's at least doing that for people. But it's not like super active or anything. It's even less active than the Doig Swift Automata one. But if people wanted it, I'm ready to provide it. I just don't have anything monetized to it right now. It's just a place for people to post their stuff and chat if they really want to. And it's a place where I really should start alerting that I'm going to stream. I keep forgetting to do that. Okay. There we go. That looks a little better. That looks a little bit more bold. But yeah, that way if you need to, you can DM me and we can work something out. The next thing I need to do is I just started working on his cloth, and you can see I've made like the dark shadows. But I did that while I was waiting for other things to dry. So we're going to take some brown paint, and we're going to take some of this pale sand, and we're going to be on the watch for Dana Howell to like burst her head through a wall so she can be like, did somebody say pale sand? And I'm going to go ahead and blend from the shadow of the low end, and then work my way back up to the highlights. On the high spot. No, again, that Discord is completely no strings attached. There's nothing other than, you know, don't be awful, which I don't anticipate being a problem with anyone who joins. But there's the only point to that is that someone asked me if I had a Discord and told me I should make one, so I did, because it was so low effort. So don't feel like you need to do anything to be part of that Discord. I don't understand Discord. I'm really late coming to a lot of the online social areas like Reddit and Instagram and whatnot. So I'm not sure how the culture of these things and how they're supposed to function. I'm still very unsure about the etiquette. I feel like I've reached that step in my age where I am the old man who is trying to keep up with everyone else on social medias and technologies. I'm the guy who doesn't understand what the Nintendo is. Okay, this blend looking a little wild. A little bit more black. Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's kind of impressive. I wanted to be an anthropologist when I was growing up, and so I tend to look at things based on the cultural norms that develop in them and what becomes the taboos and what becomes the acceptable things to do. And it's kind of crazy seeing how social media has so drastically adjusted how we talk to each other. And I don't mean that in a good or a bad way. I think there's been a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, and I really wish I'd stuck with the anthropology, because I could have... I really wanted to write an ethnography, which is like an anthropological study on like 4chan and those areas of social media, because when I was in college and whatnot, I used to frequent 4chan a lot, and I was right in that age demographic that could have been radicalized in the worst way and become a really shitty person. But thankfully, I knew enough people that were kind, compassionate human beings that they stopped that and made me not a shitty person. And for that, I'm ever grateful. But the power of a social media platform like 4chan is absolutely staggering, and I think it's fascinating. As someone who spent a lot of time browsing there and not contributing, it's absolutely fascinating the subculture that developed in there. And by fascinating, I mean terrifying, and I hate it. I know, right? It's something I'm very I try to be self-aware of, is that I had a lot of really crummy assumptions and biases growing up, and I don't want to ever repeat those or hear them perpetuated. Printing out mean, so I stopped going there. I should... Yeah, exactly. 4chan is an incredibly terrible place, and people should be strongly discouraged from going there or treating that place as somewhere to accrue learned behavior. Don't do that, please. I mean, you're aware of that, but we need more people aware of that. 4chan bad. 4chan very bad. And the problem is that for a while it wasn't entirely bad. It was actually doing things that were good. I remember I was actively there when they stopped a school shooting in Australia, because one of the people on 4chan posted about it, and they were able to dox him. And I don't think they straight up like harassed him or anything. They just immediately notified the authorities, hey, this one user from this IP address in this town said that they were going to bring a gun to school and shoot up the school or something. And so the authorities went there, went in the locker, found like a flare gun or something else that was probably more dangerous, and they were able to stop it. But that was also like 15 years ago. And now 4chan has become a parody of what it was 15 years ago, with a whole lot more Nazism and fascism and horrible, horrible, toxic people. So it's kind of lost whatever redeemable aspect it had back then. And I'm able to see a lot more of it as, you know, entitled males with poor social skills be hateful of everything. So, yeah. Glad that I dodged that bullet and was able to become a compassionate, an attempt of a compassionate, loving person who tries to be conscious of their behavior and how it affects others. Again, welcome to Benry Paints, where we talk about cat poop and 4chan. Oh my goodness. It's really upsetting because I teach high schoolers now, and while 4chan itself has obviously diminished in popularity amongst the youths, its reverberations and its horribleness is still being felt, because 4chan is obviously a... Yeah. That's the correct terminology for it. The phrase itself is an example of it, but I didn't want to turn anyone's brains off by saying incels and making them go, oh, you're one of them. No, I'm going to use the terminology. But I teach kids who are still very much, unfortunately, influenced by 4chan, even though they themselves have never been to the website. And it's that same thing. They just have that issue where
they're looking for approval that they're not getting elsewhere, and they also aren't necessarily the brightest, so they latch on to people who they deem, you know, admirable. And 4chan is a big lover of Andrew Tate, and I have one student that really likes Andrew Tate and really looks up to him. And he was really excited when he thought Andrew Tate got out of Ukrainian prison, or Romanian prison, wherever he is. Romanian prison, I'm sorry. And it's really hard to listen to that young man talk, because he's also learning disabled. So he's got a bunch of other issues going on. But he definitely says and does a lot of things that are really upsetting, and hopefully he grows out of it as he realizes that's not how he's going to get approval and attention from his peers. He had a moment last week where he did not want to do a standardized test, which was an essay, and it was his second year with us, because the first year he did nothing, and so he spent all morning complaining about having to do it and how it was a waste of time and whatever else. And there was this young lady that came in who, this is her only time she's going to be in this class with us, because she's going to pass whether she wants to or not. She's so naturally bright and hardworking that she's going to do it. But she missed one of our prep days, because we're given 2 days of prep, and then we're allowed to use that material on the test. So she asks if she can continue outlining and writing down her notes, and I told her sure. So she gets out all of her stuff, and she's starting to write feverishly and finish this up, and immediately this other kid starts mocking her for it. You know, trying to do the alpha male thing. And she turns to him and says, "You're 16 and you're in 9th grade. Shut up." And then goes back to what she's doing, and he leaves her alone. But with that being said, it's time for me to go. I think I made some pretty good progress on him. Obviously, his skirt is still not perfectly blended, but it definitely looks a lot better than it did a minute ago. I really like how the handle on this turned out, given that I did that with almost no light. The gold definitely reads a lot better now that there's not such huge blocks of dark reflection in there. I'm still really in love with this dude's face. I did this just kind of to try and see what I could do, and I think it turned out really good. Heck of a lot better than it was, because it was like a pasty tan color with a dark wash. So he's looking good. I really like how he's turning out, and he's the only chaplain I've got. I donated another one to a father whose son was trying to get into 40K, so I gave him a ton of models. But what I'm really excited about is these ladies. I'm really excited to paint the nuns with the guns, because these are such cool models. And it's for Soft Servo's wife, and she's got a really cool paint scheme in mind. She told me what she wanted. And additionally, since I had some money, I bought these. And you're probably going to notice a pattern with the things I enjoy. And one of them is incredibly capable, dangerous women. I love taking the trope of like the damsel in distress and saying, no, women are just as powerful and sometimes even more scary than the men in these stories. So the Escher gang, I immediately saw them when, yes, splatterpunk women gangs, let's go. So I'm going to be very excited to paint these. But the thing I'm most excited about, I have another commission, and that other commission is going to be here on Monday, and I'm super psyched about it, because it's going to be first of all, it's going to be an A-tier model. They want me to paint it to the best of my ability, so that they can get like a beautiful display model, which I'm intimidated by, but I'm excited about. But what they want painted, give me a second, I'm excited to show this, is one of these. They want a new model Demon Prince to be painted in the Slanesh theme, with like purple flames on the armor and like ultra detailed everything. She even, the person, not she, I don't know their gender, so I'm going with the person, sorry. They even went ahead and like printed out like Roman columns and stone and whatnot that they put on the base. So yeah, that's the new Demon Prince if you have not seen it. It's beautiful. It comes in a much bigger box. It's like $80, which seems obscene, but it's real. It's going to be a really cool display model, and I can't wait to get my grubby little mitts on it so I can start painting it, because once that shows up tomorrow, everything else is being pushed to the side. Yep, I'm being pulled away too. I'll see you later, guys. Thank you for showing up. Have a great rest of your day, and one moment. Bye-bye. Come on, go away, please. There we go. Later. Bye-bye.